Jason and James. How are you doing today?
Good, good, good. We had the premiere last night, so we're a bit sort of.
You're our first up. You're our first victim.
Yeah, like I saw some of the footage and some of the reactions from the premiere, and oh my gosh, like I unfortunately seen it in an empty theater, but I am
Oh,
absolutely dying to rewatch it in a full theater just for
oh,
that
good.
crowd reaction because there's so many moments in this that I know in a packed house must work so brilliantly. But
Yeah.
even before the film came out, you guys must have been so happy just from the reaction to the trailer. Like the
Yeah.
way TikTok lost its mind for Megan, the trailer. You two must have been like, "Oh yes, we've got a winner here."
Yeah, we felt we got something here. No, we're really proud of the film, and we think everyone did such a great job on it that we just can't wait for people to check it out and see it in a packed theater, like you said. It has to be experienced in that way.
Absolutely, it does. There's some moments in this that I like. They're genuinely the balance between comedy and horror, scene to scene, is just it's so perfect. I loved it so much. But you're both heavily involved in some of the best modern movie monsters that there have been in some recent horror movies. What is it do you think about Megan that kind of immediately sets her up as one of those modern movie monsters that like is almost immediately unforgettable? She gets her hooks in straight away just from seeing her, and then when you hear her talk and you see her move, it's more and more and more. So, what was it for both of you that kind of appealed to the horrific nature of her?
I think it's because she has so much personality, right? I mean, usually horror movie monsters tend to be kept in the dark, right? You don't want to show too much of the monster. You don't want to show too much of the ghost or the demon. But in her case, she is front and center, right? What makes her scary is how she slowly evolved to become, this darker entity whose sole purpose is to try and protect this little girl, and she would go to great extent to do that. And that's when it has a very Frankensteinian quality to it. And I think that's what makes her as great as she is, and I think that's what's going to make her, stick with audiences.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. There are very few villains in horror movies that are as accessible as Megan is. So I think that's really true. And I think the fact that Megan is also, the movie is coming out at a time when people are talking about AI so much and all the good that AI can do and all the bad that AI can do. Megan embodies both of those things. And so I think the timely nature of it too really is making audiences connect with her.
Like, obviously, both of your careers it goes beyond the horror genre, but you're also both kind of synonymous with horror to the point that like you both must have a pretty good instinct when it comes to horror projects or thriller projects to know what will and what won't work. What is it for you both? Like it could be whether it was reading a script for Megan or whatever project it is. What is it that kind of sets your radar off that lets you know you're like, okay, this specific horror project, this is what it's got my attention and this is what I want to work on next.
I think it'll be. It's an interesting question for both of us because for me, and I think, and James will have a different answer, I know. For me, it's so about the creator. James is a creator, I'm not a creator. So for me, James calls with an idea for horror. The exciting thing is that it's James, right? That really has, and that's always driven our company is I have to be a big fan of the person behind the work behind the person who's bringing me the idea. That's the first thing for me.
Yeah, I think it's so much of to Jason's point, so much of these kind of movies tend to be very filmmaker driven, right? You need a filmmaker that has a vision, that knows how to create tone, suspense, tension, scares, and all that, and that is important. For me, from my perspective, one of the biggest thing I look for is trying to find new horror things that we haven't seen before. And I think keeping that originality up is very hard, but it's very important and it's very vital. And everything that I do as a director in this horror space is about trying to find things that we haven't seen before for me to try and scare you with. But at the end of the day, to try and see within that if there's something that I can say, that I have, that I have a point of view about what I'm saying.
Gentlemen, tremendous. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Did M3GAN do something bad?
What's going on? What are you?
I'm M3GAN.
Baby, don't provoke us or we will.